All righty, welcome to Indie Comic Stream number 3 here at Comics and Variety. I'm Doc Hogg. Tonight I am joined by Knuckle Supper, otherwise known as D. Jason Meadows, who also happens to be the letterer on my comic book Tilt. We'll just call him Nux for short. How's that work?
That works for me. I've been called worse.
So have I. All righty, let's get a couple of administrative details out of the way here first. Oh, and just very quickly, Jeremy Lott, our boy Great Lott, will return. He will be returning next week. We'll be doing the reviewing the comic books that we were supposed to review last week. Last week was my fault. The cord on the power adapter basically broke on my my Microsoft Surface. Interestingly enough, I'm just curious, Nux, are you a PC person or are you a Macintosh?
I am PC. I'm not nearly cool enough to go Mac.
Yeah, I have long clung to.
Oh, we doing that now?
Oh yeah. Cheers.
Sláinte.
And yeah, I've long clung to Macintosh computers because that's kind of all I've ever known. But in like the last 10 years, I've had 2 of them. The first one, within about 6 years, the hard drive basically disintegrated. And the latest one, I got one that's was a refurbished one. And now I started up, and it within a minute, sometimes within seconds, it crashes and then restarts. With the PC, the only real problem I've had with the service is the power adapter, which breaks. And this time, because it's an older version, I had to go online and order one. They don't have them in Best Buy anymore. But I'm kind of like, PCs are cheaper. I can do everything I want on these things. Power adapters are easy to fix.
Yeah.
You can buy another one for $15. The crap with the Macs, I don't know. I just, I used to have such good experiences with them, but I don't know why. But 6 years and your hard drive disintegrates. That's I don't know. Anyways, okay. All right. I think. All righty. First thing up here is my comic book Tilt, which is still in the sign-up phase. Hopefully in about the next 2 weeks, I will be launching it. The link to the sign-up page is in the description below. And how about you, Nux? What do you have in the pipeline right now?
I'm gearing up for my second Indiegogo campaign for Tales from Nerosville. Mm-hmm. It will be issues 4 and 5 of Tales from Nerosville, with the first issue of a 3-issue miniseries, essentially introducing Happy Jack properly to the universe. Yeah, 2 of the books are.
Are you finishing up Day at the Beach?
That was it for Day at the Beach. That was it. That was just a real short one, just to introduce the character. I may revisit him at another time, but yeah, that was it. That was just a little one shot for fun with a little ultra violence.
I see. So he killed everyone, and he's done. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. But in the gap, I might do a short second chance offer for the first 2 issues of Nerosville again, and just throw that up for anybody now that's seen, a little word on it or seen the post about people receiving it. So if anyone missed out and wants to grab it, they can do that.
Now, are issues 4 and 5, are they both Happy Jack, or?
Issues 4 and 5 are 2 completely different stories. And then the issue 1 of the miniseries, Hero and the Lamb, that's going to be 3 issues Happy Jack centric.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
All right. Okay. Up next, just let everyone know I will be here tomorrow night at 7 p.m. with Lenore King, my colorist. She is also drawing the poster for Tilt, and that is what she will be doing tomorrow. And voice permitting, she will also be doing some karaoke, but no guarantee on the karaoke, as her voice has been, I think she's suffering from a cold. Let's see, do we have a proper picture here of Lenore? Yes, there is a proper picture of Lenore. So yeah, join us tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern time. and to see Lenore color or work on the poster for Tilt. And yeah, alrighty. Moving along, couple of comics here that are still funding. In fact, we're going to be talking about Doorkickers here in a minute, the preview that we have. But that one is still in demand by Scott McCullough. And I don't know how much longer it'll be in demand. Maybe Scott, who will be joining us to tell us how badly we reviewed his comic, he'll be joining us to do that later. Maybe he'll let us know how much longer it's going to be in demand, but you can still get it, and it is well worth it. Next up is Wordsmith, Volume 1 and 2, a steampunk fantasy by Stephen Kok. We're going to be reviewing his other comic book tonight, Terralympus, after we do Doorkickers and also do our new feature called No Square. But yeah, I've seen a little bit of a preview of this. I told people on my last video why I am backing this. This one has just over a week left, so get on it soon. And the final one is a new one that I will be talking a little bit about why I'm backing it in my next video. Soulbound Part 2, Escape by Paula Ritchie. Soulbound #1 was really, really good. Paula Ritchie's very talented. As I said at the time when I reviewed it, I'm not big into epic fantasy. For me, epic fantasy is Lord of the Rings, and I mean the movies, not the books. But this I really, really enjoyed. And so now issue 2 is out. It is on Kickstarter, not Indiegogo. And I know we were just going to chat about that for a second. There is this big push among comics gators to do Indiegogo and not Kickstarter, because Kickstarter has taken some comics that it's found that, it has found offensive and basically booted them from the platform. I don't remember the name of the comic, but it involved some Mexicans that were in the comic that were part of the gang MS-13, and somebody found that offensive. They booted him from the platform, and whoever it was said, it's a gang. It's MS-13. They're a real gang. They're Hispanic. Okay. That's what this is. And that didn't matter. So there's a push for comics gators to go to Indiegogo, because Indiegogo, as far as I know, has never censored anyone. That seems to be their policy. And so, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, as a Comicsgate, I am Comicsgate. I solely campaigned on Indiegogo.
Mm-hmm.
But as a self-publisher, an indie publisher, you do need to get your name out there as much as you can and sell as many books and make as much money as you can.
Yeah.
I don't particularly see an issue with funding on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
My possible suggestion and my approach would probably be to launch on Indiegogo first.
Yeah.
And, maybe let the campaign run through and then launch on Kickstarter.
Sure.
Like I said, I'm going to do a second chance one for the first issues of my book. And when I do, I might launch on both simultaneously.
Sure.
Just because there are people that are, Kickstarter supporters that aren't using Indiegogo and vice versa. So I don't agree with limiting yourself. I do understand why a lot of comics gators don't want to use Kickstarter or show them any support.
Mm-hmm.
But by the same token, perhaps you use both, build up your audience, and then pull off a Kickstarter.
Yeah. Well, I think, Paula Ritchie started on Kickstarter before there was the controversy. So she's already run her campaign. She already has a mailing list. And, it's kind of hard to pull that from Kickstarter and move it over to Indiegogo. You're probably going to lose some of your customers if you do that, because some of them probably aren't on Indiegogo. They'd have to set up an account. They don't want to do that. You don't want to lose your customer base. I mean, I think statistics show whenever you launch a new product, you're going to lose about 10% of your customer base or so on average.
Yeah.
They just didn't like it. They won't come back. And, you don't want to even risk losing more of them. So especially for people who started on Kickstarter, I certainly understand why they go back to Kickstarter. I mean, you have to make money. Comicsgate cannot survive unless the creators make money. And I largely agree with everything you said. I think I'm going to limit myself to Indiegogo if I can, but that's a personal choice, and I'm certainly not going to knock anyone for using Kickstarter. Okay, let's move along and let's get started on Doorkickers Panzer Demon by Scott McCullough. Let's see. This is the opening page, and hang on here. Let me bring up the cover real quick. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Hold on just a second here. Alrighty, here's the cover for Doorkickers. One of them. He has a couple of different covers, but I like this cover. I mean, it tells you right off the bat, what's going on here. It's it's about the military, called Doorkickers. You've got a door that's flown open. You've got them shooting their guns, but then over here, if you look closely, this guy's doing something, sending something out with his hands. So it's got something to do with paranormal magic as well. So your thoughts on the cover?
I really like the cover. I like the composition of it. I like the approach that the artist took, and the colors are gorgeous.
Some nice nice detail in the background right here, and the bullets or the shells flying toward you. Yeah, that's a really solid cover. I like it. Okay, let's get to the opening page here. Change. I've got these all lined up. Alrighty, this is the opening page. Lets you know that you're near Ukraine, yeah, basically what's going on here is you have this special ops team combined of soldiers and people that have various special powers, and they're basically going after supernatural creatures, demons. Panzer is German for tank, so this Panzer Demon obviously is pretty serious. Any thoughts on this opening page?
I like it. I really like the initial shot with the plane over the city, like just setting up the atmosphere that they're going to be in, and then drawing in on the soldiers. Yeah. It did really kind of just pull me in right away.
Yeah, and you and I both noticed that there are some typos. I've got and we'll be watching the exterior. Not on this page, but and Scott is aware of those typos. He just it wasn't able to get them fixed before he sent out the preview copy. But he is aware, and they will be fixed before we get the final version. So, alrighty, this is one half of a double splash page. The door is kicked open, and they're moving in to take out a. Well, they're not really sure whether they're going after basically a scroll that is going to allow the demon to come to Earth. And here's the second half of that splash page. So you have the same guy here, and then the remainder over here. I like it because you're kind of it's from the view of the people they're shooting.
Yeah.
You've got the gun of someone right here who's just bit the dust, and I thought this double splash page, I think it's going to look really nice on the hard copy.
Yeah, I really liked it. One of the first things that kind of stuck out to me was that the art's pretty clean and simple. And I mean that as a compliment. Like, I don't want the artist to hear that and think I'm, talking down about his work. But he's got a really clean, simple style. There's not a lot of extra lines there, but where everything is and what it is. So, yeah, I really thought the artwork was nice. I like that right away.
Yeah. Okay. This here is the. Okay. They have someone has managed to put most of the the enemy here into some kind of trance. It says seizure is holding, but there's one here that what is a flame minion?
Flame minion.
Flames, and this guy here, I guess his name is it Stillen or Stylen? I want to say
I was going with Stylen.
Stylen. Okay. I don't know who this other guy is here. I think did I write down his name? Was it Hook? No, he wasn't Hook. Marius? Maybe Marius. Not a huge deal. Okay, and he and Stylen are going to handle the flame minion, and while the other guys go look for the guy who has the scroll. And here is the guy who has a scroll. He's obviously been doing some ritual. You got the pentagrams, the goat head here, lots of nice occult imagery here, and then he says some sort of chant, which basically kills him, results in him killing himself. Yeah, I mean, I like the detail back here, but the pentagrams and the goat head and everything. There's a human sacrifice, just a lot of nice detail there.
See, on that page, I thought he started that chant that would have caused some trouble, and the guy behind him put one through his head.
Oh, is that what you think happened?
That's how I read it. I thought he was starting to start a chant or trying to pull something, and the guy behind him just put one in him.
Okay, well, no, that's actually I think a better reading of it than I had. So we will let Scott resolve that comes on, but I suspect he's going to resolve it in your favor. So yeah, I could see. Yeah, well, it looks like actually now that I look at it, that looks like that little line right there looks like a bullet. So yeah, I guess. Duh. Oh well. All right, let's move on. Okay, this is interesting because this woman here, her name is Jigna, I think. Yeah, and she obviously has some sort of mystic power, and she's going to try to read the scroll. And what I like about this page is that she starts trying to read the scroll and then slam. She gets booted out of this protection shield here and gets injured. And yeah, no, one shot to the head. Scott's already here in the yeah, already resolved it for us. So thank you. And I like the fact that she gets booted out because that gives you it reinforces how powerful this demon is. So that is just a very, very nice scene.
I like this page as well, and this is where I feel that we're introduced to like these elders or the more powerful people that are kind of behind the scenes in this and helping them through this. So I think that's kind of cool that there's players behind the scene as well.
All righty. Yes, I thought so. Now they are working through this guy, and I want to say his name is Hook. Is that correct? I think his name is Hook. Speaking of stirring demons, you want to come over here for a second, bud? Yeah, no, he doesn't want to come over here. What's up, buddy? You still a little tired and a little cranky? You want to watch some video? Okay. Yeah, why don't you talk about this scene for a second? I'll be right back, okay?
Yeah, so I don't have it in front of me, but so my understanding is when the girl was thrown out, then this character called on the more powerful ones to come in and help protect, and they're going to read the scrolls through him. So yeah, and then it's I'm assuming they're considerably more powerful than the other ones, or they all have their different powers. But I thought it was kind of cool that they can, step in, not telepathically, but like, and help these guys remotely.
Yeah, and it's not Hook, it's Marius, according to Scott. So yeah, no, this is I like the color scheme, the yellow, the blue, the green coming in back here. It just really you that and the use of the light, it just you see each one. They're very distinct from each other. I really like that art. Okay.
Yeah, and it reminds me of like the different characters that like represent different elements and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And alrighty, here he is reading the scroll. The scroll is a work of infernal power. Our channeled power will protect Marius. This writing is known to us only. A being of power could read it aloud. The scroll has powers inherent to its subject of the scroll, naming of and specific eldritch knowledge of a group of demonic entities, servants of the dead god. And I have no idea how to pronounce it. It's something like Bullcrast. Don't know how to pronounce the name of the demon, but that's it. So yeah, this is very, very simple art here, and it's good. You know, you're focused on the reading of the scroll. It doesn't, which is I'm guessing that's what Scott and the artist really want you to focus on. Learning about the demon here and so forth. So.
Yeah, a lot of artists I do see go overboard on the details or trying too hard to, get all the lines and everything. So it was a little refreshing for me that this artist has a cleaner style. There's not a whole lot of extra lines, and the colorist, can just kind of step in and, give it a little depth. So yeah, I did really enjoy the art on this.
Okay. Let's see. Now this is where they're doing some reconnaissance. They're getting ready to go in after the Panzer Demon here, and they're saying that this guy here, I'll enlarge it a little bit, has some kind of symbol on him that's it's a ward, something that wards off interlopers presumably, and they basically say that anyone who looks at it and is not properly trained is going to have problems. So I'll be right back. Go ahead and comment on that.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny. So this page, when I got to this page and I was looking at it with the sigils and spells and stuff, it reminded me, oddly enough, of the TV show Supernatural, where they would have different sigils or whatever on the walls that would prevent demons from coming in, angels from coming in, that sort of thing. So yeah, it did remind me a lot of Supernatural. So when I saw this, I really kind of got a feel for what they were going here, and I liked the way they worked this into the story.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, you have Jigna talking to some of the Ukrainian soldiers that are special ops teams that are working with them. She herself is Ukrainian. I guess this is kind of one of my two criticisms of this is that this scene went on for about 3 pages and just seemed a little long. And I assume, that this is going to, you're getting some of her backstory, a little bit about who she is. I suspect that's going to have something down the road, but I just kind of wish this scene had maybe been shortened a little bit.
I'm with you there. I did feel like it was a little drug out. Mm-hmm. I know you want to set it up, and I understand wanting to set up some details for a character that's going to show up later, and also limiting the amount of dialogue and balloons and stuff in panels. Mm-hmm. So I understand, the balance there. It is a bit of a juggling act. Yeah. But I did feel like this particular scene could have maybe been a page shorter, but all in all, it did get all the essential details in there. We know about her now. We know about, her backstory. So,
yeah. And then here is part of the planning. The guy with the beard, I believe he is Parker. Okay, I think this is Marius here. So I'm not sure which one's Hook. But one of them is Hook. And at any rate, yeah, this was kind of the one other criticism is that, well, let me first start by saying that if I didn't know anything about the author and I was reading this scene where they're planning the assault on the Panzer Demon, I would guess that this person had been in the military, because it's pretty detailed, pretty intricate. They're going through a lot here, and my criticism is it seemed a little too long. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of got that feeling as well. I understand the intricacies of, military operations. Not personally, I was not in the military, but I understand, that you want to lay out what's going to happen, but it is heavy with the dialogue. I don't feel that it needed to be quite that much, or maybe quite as heavy with some of the military jargon. But
yeah, I think that it might have been a little bit maybe shortened, or maybe, instead of explaining it via dialogue, try to show it a little bit. What if you can, instead of tell,
right.
But yeah, and don't get me wrong, I understand that this is the Panzer Demon. It's a big assault. They've got to really plan it pretty intricately. I understand that, but yeah, it seemed like it went on maybe a little too long. So, okay, a couple of things here from Scott McCullough. Sorry, I got it wrong. Jigna is not Ukrainian. She is a spy who speaks every language, all of them. Okay. And what else here? The demon's name. I don't know how to pronounce it either. I don't speak that language. Okay. Let's see. And that's pretty much where it leaves off. The preview. We don't get. We don't get We don't get. That's pretty much where it stopped. We don't get the actual assault on the demon, which I am looking forward to. It's just that I guess I would have shortened some of those pages, because you have this thing up front where they're fighting the flame minion here, and I think you could have dragged that fight out a little bit. You could have done more and use some of the length for that, and a lot of good action. It would have added to the action early on. So that's kind of my criticism of it here. And any other thoughts before I bring Scott in?
No, I agree with what you're saying. I did like it, and again, I think that's part of the balance, because I'm doing my own books as well and writing the scripts and trying to lay panels out, and you kind of fall into that balance where, do you want it to be 40 pages? Do you want it to be 60 pages? Like, how much do you want to have in, how much do you want to cut out? There's aspects of the story you really want to include. So, it's a balancing act all around, but he definitely left me wanting to see more, and I'm anxious to see what this demon looks like. So, all
right, let me bring Scott in here now. Hello, sir. How are you?
Gentlemen, how are you?
We're doing good. Doing good. So, what do you think of our thoughts?
Well, I can't decide what you know the least about, good writing or military operations.
Could be a dangerous mix of both.
No, you guys are hitting the same kind of spot. So you guys are both creators. You know how it is. Any writing, any creation is a compromise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what you're seeing in my head is a 60-page book that I turned into a 48-page book. And your frustrations identified areas where I either edited things down, whether it was like, for instance, the briefing originally was like 3 pages, but I shoehorned it all into like 1 page, so it was a ton of dialogue, and I cut out a ton of stuff. The recon, there's like a page where they're doing the recon, right? And that was originally a 5-page sequence. The Jigna conversation is actually pretty much intact, but it was just one of those kind of things where the long-term payoff for Jigna is more important than, say, like, for instance, the additional 2 pages of Stillin fighting the flame minion that got edited out, because ultimately, Stillin fighting a guy that's on fire, show a little bit about him, but ultimately it doesn't add to the story. So, it kind of gets left on the cutting room floor.
Sure. Well, no,
and when you make a compromise, sometimes you have to make less good decisions. And if I had the pages to let the story breathe, 64 pages, I think it would be a different thing. And maybe down the road someday, I'll redo it just like George Lucas and show you guys the version you should have seen.
That.
Well, and
don't do that.
If you're saying 64 to 48 pages, I mean, that's taking a full 25% and compressing it down. So, I understand the frustration there.
And the other thing too is the action sequence in the end. There's I wouldn't say there's a lot of corners that I cut towards the end, but if I preserved anything, I wanted to preserve that kind of the second half, where the payoff for all this blocks of text are at.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, again, we haven't seen the second half, so we're kind of, it may be a complete, there
are full pages with no dialogue.
Yeah, it's a total payoff. It's like it's a build up. You got a lot of build up here, and it's a total payoff. So we're just reacting.
Sure.
Review and
well, and the lessons that I learned on writing this, I mean, I'm applying it. I'm writing something right now, and that's literally what I was doing right before I came on here. And there was a struggle even with this new project. Give me 2 months and I can talk to you more about it. But like, I'm having to really work hard. In prose writing, which is kind of my background, like how I learned to do, short stories, things like that. Mm-hmm. You can really, you put everything there and then you just kind of shape it until it's the right shape. But ultimately it's not about length as much as it is just about, efficiency. Whereas, in a comic, when you're paying for an artist to do pages, that's where all right, well, fuck it. I'm not going to do 64 pages because I can't afford that. Yeah, I'm doing 48 pages.
I'm doing 32 in mine, and that's for exactly that reason,
And, well, and I think within Comicscape, we're all very aware of what happens when you decide to do 120 pages instead of, 48 pages.
I had to chop a lot of stuff out of mine to get it down to 32 for mine, and hey, I understand that, and
so anyway, it's. We've got these things in our head. Like, so a great example, there's a lot of world building that I tried to do in this, but kind of subtle world building, right? Like Stillin's a great example. I mean, what do you know about Stillin? By the end of the scene where they get in the truck, what do you know about Stillin? Well, he can fight a guy who's on fire and act like it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. That's about all you need to know. He's also very physical. So these are the kind of things that are important. His backstory is not important here. Those other details will come out later. Hell, I've got a 20-page story in the can ready to go all about Stillin, but I don't have the ability to put it in this book. That'll be it for the next book.
Okay.
But those are just little things like that you just kind of drop those seeds, and you hope you're planting the right crops so that the payoff down the line works out. There's going to be some stuff that happens in the second half that, while this story is self-contained, and at the end of the second half, the plot is resolved, but there's going to be plenty to take into the future. Mm-hmm. Like these mystics, right? The ones that you guys saw, I don't really get into them. I don't really talk about the fact that they're sitting at a undisclosed location in the States, and they're using astral telepathy or whatever, the mystic powers to project. If you go back to that page, where.
Hang on just a minute. I'm sorry. Just
I see that you got that. And like, this is the kind of thing, the details on the page, but it's not in the words, right?
Yeah.
So, I love this page, by the way. I think he just completely knocked it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
By
that
the way, the
third
artist,
panel. I really like the third panel.
oh yeah. So the artist's name is Ian Waryanto. He's from Indonesia, and my colorist, she is the other kind of, she just makes this stuff look so good. Her name is Farah Nurmaliza, and she's getting a lot of work now within Comicsgate. So
Yeah, that was the first thing that jumped out at me was her coloring, and yeah, I really like that. I was gonna hit you up for her information.
What I like
Yeah.
here in particular is the movement with the hands here, how the fingers get a little contorted, but it just here and here, and still in his hand is here. I mean, it just the hands in particular. That's just such nice attention to detail, and just adds to the movement of those frames. Kudos to your artist there. It's just, I mean, that's really, really well done.
Yeah, I think he shines with his kind of just efficiency and dynamicisms. He in certain ways he kind of reminds me of Narwhal a little bit in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like this artist is not going to be the artist that draws the super detailed guns and all that kind of stuff, but he gives you an idea of what the gun is,
But like
and it's guys like.
Right here where this guy, his hand looks like he's actually holding like a ball or something here. I mean, it's just
because he's getting ready to do that's
so well done.
The detail that he works into it is just great. And there's a lot of little things that they pick up, both Farah and Ian pick up from that are implied in each of the panels. And whether I knew it or not, I mean, it's something that needed to be. They read my description and they start to draw, and Ian's like, well, I wonder what he meant by this. Well, I'm just going to do this, and I think this looks cool. And that's what I told him. I was like, listen, when in doubt, just make it look cool. You need to be happy with it because, I think I want this book to be your calling card. And so, I mean, I think he's just really done an unbelievable job. And, and Farah, God bless her, where she's noticed things that Ian did, she's kind of, her colors really either enhance or, hide the bodies, if you will, that are right there on the page in front of us. So, like a great example is the weakest part of Ted's cover was the smoke. Now, what makes Ted a great artist, for one thing, like the guns and the detail and all that kind of stuff, he just went crazy on the smoke. It was just super detailed, and it just had a different kind of feeling than what smoke has. Well, Farah comes with her coloring, and she covered up his smoke and made her own kind of computer colored smoke, and it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So it's that compliment, bringing two artists together.
This is the cover that I showed earlier.
Yeah, that's the greenish one. Yeah, one more.
Hang on, sorry. It's
the other one. Nope. That's the one. So you can see how the smoke is more hazy down there.
Yeah.
Than
okay.
Originally, he drew it, and it was like super gnarly, and it was more physical, and smoke just doesn't have that sense to it, from my experience. So I asked her to kind of, touch that up a little bit, and then she came back with this, and I was just like, perfect.
It's always
nice. Do it.
It's always nice when your artists come back with something that you kind of didn't expect, but it's like, man, that's much better than what I had in mind. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's one of the fun parts of this process for me.
Well, if you go back, like I said, go back to the page where they're kind of the three mystics are. I don't, like I said, there's a lot of details that are on the page, but they're not in. So go one more, the first page. All right. So what do you see on both of those tables?
Crystal ball.
That's right. That's like a real fucking gypsy crystal ball. And, I don't really get into it, but the idea is that crystal ball allows the ley energy along the ley lines to focus at a specific location. So it allows them to kind of have enhanced understanding and vision of what's going on where they're making that connection. It's kind of like a mystical astral conference calling system.
So, Scott, question for you.
Yeah.
When you do your script to send to the artist, how detailed are you on the panel layouts?
Well, from time to time, I'll literally see the page in my head. And if it's really important, but the first thing is like, okay, I got a cool idea for a page in my head, but how important is that really, and is my answer the best answer? And even so, when I was just a writer, when I just wrote things and I had an editor, like the first time I did Doorkickers, I said, "Yep, I'm going to give them everything that's in my head, and I'm just going to let them sort it out." And then, but now that I'm effectively the publisher, the editor, everything except for the artist and the colorist and the letterer, I'm a lot more. All right, I'm just going to give them. It's a 5-panel page. I may say I see this is the largest, or this panel is of emphasis, or this image needs to be I think this is the largest panel on the page. That's that kind of thing. I don't really get in the weeds as much anymore on a lot of that kind of stuff. Especially I know Ian's a good artist, so I can trust him to make decisions.
Yeah,
I think.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I just think that's an important part of the collaboration.
Yeah, I've had this discussion because I write ink letter my books. I have pulled back from penciling because I'm ungodly slow, but I have illustrated in the past. So I go back and forth with different writers. I see some writers who write insanely detailed panel descriptions, and I'm like, and this is not meant as an insult or anything to anybody, but I'm like, you're a writer, not an artist. I understand you can envision it in your head, but artists have their strengths and their weaknesses. So I like to give the artist just kind of a little bit of a direction, unless there's something extremely important in the panel, and then see what they come up with. You know what I mean? So that they can work towards their strengths. And a lot of times they'll do something completely different than what I had in my mind, and it just blows me away.
So with Doorkickers, one of the things that's really important, like for instance, is this page we're looking at here. There's nothing military technical on there. I mean, a crystal ball is a crystal ball. It doesn't really need any kind of reference or anything like that. But on previous pages where there's a firing technique or a uniform, a piece of equipment, type of gun, on the first page where you've got that aircraft, the UAV, there are certain things where I had provided very specific reference because ultimately I know what this shit is. And it's important to me that when somebody else that knows what that stuff is looks at it, they can tell that we took the time to get it right versus just, just the artist going out and picking a gun or something like that. No, every one of those guns that, that are used in this, I know exactly what type of gun it is. I know here's 5 pictures of it and here's a video of somebody shooting it, online. You know what I mean? So, that's the kind of reference I give for the technical stuff. But ultimately, I try to tie everything to the story, right? If the detail needs to be there to set something up later, kind of like Chekhov said, don't hang a gun on the wall in the first scene unless it's going to go off by the end of the story.
Yeah.
So if something's in there, it needs to have a purpose. And so if it doesn't have a purpose, then I try to get all of my panels on one page. Now, when the dialogue gets out of control, then that gets hard to do. But unless that's kind of what I try to do to be efficient. I usually fail, but.
Well, one thing I will say, having lettered a lot in my life, your artist did do a good job of leaving room for the dialogue, because, man, that is a nightmare when you're trying to letter a book where there's not room, and now your job is to try and decide which art you can cover up and which art you can't cover up.
Let me see if I can find something real quick, just to kind of show you to that point. I think you guys will appreciate this. I won't. I don't have it yet, so just carry on.
You got everything under control over there, Doc?
Yeah. He's getting his he's woke up, he's watching his videos, that's the background noise, and he's eating some turkey and some bread and a little bit of salami, so he's good. You want to come over here and say hi real quick? Okay. This guy here. This is Nux. Say hi, Nux.
Hi, Nux.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
This is my for anyone who doesn't know, this is my 3-year-old, and what age are you going to be in April?
4.
That's right. You're going to be 4 in April.
Right. What do you want for your birthday?
A Power Ranger toys.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good man. Hey, so I got something to share here.
All right.
So, can you guys see this page?
No, I'm here. Hang on. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first draft. This is when so Eric took this page and did the letters, the original letters that were all there, and this is what happened. So I mean, so you can see there's captions going off the off the page at the bottom, but the point is that there's this at this point it's too late to change the art, and if we had done a better job, and I've since kind of changed how I do art workflow, we would see the artwork before we, before we, what am I trying to do here? Sorry. Stop sharing. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. Before we get to the point where Eric's doing the final letters, we would have seen, the draft, letters on the thumbnail, and then moved the panel sizes around and shifted it at that point. But, so it was just really, so I had to go in and I had to edit it. I had to I was cutting words out, and I was like, well, fuck, this is important stuff. How do I get past this? So it was a challenge, but, ultimately we figured it out. We used a little digital trickery to kind of move the panels and make some of the panels a little bigger than they originally were. We found some dead space that was kind of being unused at the bottom of that top panel, and we pushed everything up a little bit into it. But aside from that, I mean, we got it done.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there. There was a book that was picked up by Dark Horse that I was lettering, and I'll never tell you the name of it, but I swear the writers would just get in a room, drop acid every day, and add the weirdest shit to it every day. And my artist, because me and the artist were friends, he's like, dude, it's getting weirder every day. And at one point, I had to write them, guys, on the previous page, the guy wasn't married. You have him with his wife and kid in the next page. Like, and they're like, oh, thanks, man. we both bailed on the project, and we signed up for 40 pages, and we're getting the script for page 82. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah, it was. So yeah, I've had some pretty crazy lettering projects that, yeah, I was sweating it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I do need to move it along here. Anything else you want to add about your comic, Scott?
No, the only thing I just want to make people a couple things. So I want to talk about the delay. I think most of my backers know, but I'll just put it out there. There's been a 2-month delay in the project. Originally, it was supposed to go at the end of February, but now we're looking at end of April. And that's solely because I'm here in Europe right now with the military, so I can't physically fulfill the book, so and then I'll be honest with you, we were already a little bit behind on the art, but I had a plan at the end of January to kind of, finish up the art by the end of February, but ultimately that's what the gypsies called themselves, the ones I've met at least. And so we're looking good for that end of April. We've got about 8 pages left to do, and then as soon as I get them all done, we're going to be sending them to Eric for lettering. Farrah's doing colors right now, so we're looking good. And then the other piece is I just wanted to plug Raging Golden Eagles campaign. That book looks insane, and he has the coolest fans. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
No, you said Raging Golden Eagles?
Yeah, so Raging Golden Eagles is a super stand-up, awesome dude. He's got a pretty sizable YouTube audience. He's got a new campaign. It's an anime. It's a comic escape book, but it's also kind of a manga style book called The Blade Devil. And,
that's who that is. Okay, I have seen that.
And he just released, and he's going on. The first 3 days he's about $1,000 away from $60,000. So he's really killing it.
That thing blew up the first day.
Yeah, he did a 24-hour live stream. I mean, the entire 24 hours, and I watched probably 8 or 9 hours of it. He never had less than 300 people in his live stream. And when I was on, he had between 400 and 600 people in there. And his audience is amazing. They're super cool. We were sitting there talking about his book, but he was kind enough to plug my book several times, and I added 9 backers just from being on his stream for a couple hours. So I just want to give back as much as I can to him and give props to his audience. Those folks are awesome, and I look forward to being good buddies with him. And then the last thing I wanted to say is that the most consistent criticism I've gotten is kind of stuff that you mentioned, typos. Fucking no, I just it was like either fix the typos or don't send and don't send the preview out, or go ahead and send the preview out. But because of at the same time I was announcing that I was going to be late, I went ahead and just sent the preview out so that people could see it. And so I've got the log of all the little changes I'm going to be making. So I look forward to people seeing the final product. When you guys check it out on the page, you're going to be blown away. So I look forward to it. And then the second thing is there's a lot of information in that first half, and the payoff is in the second half. A lot of action, a lot of very cool stuff, and you get to actually see the Panzer Demon before it's all said and done. So.
Very good, very good. Would you like to stick around and join us for the new feature called No Square?
I don't know. Do I want to?
I don't know. Do you want to? We're just going to look at one piece of bad comic book art.
Okay, I'll do it.
No square as well. Most comic book art appears in a panel or a square, and bad art is a no-no. So,
Sure.
I have my my little intro all ready to go here. Alrighty. Huh. Why is that not showing?
Yeah, I can't see it.
Let's try that again.
I think you gotta like reload it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it again. And let's see.
You have no idea what you're missing, Scott.
And where did that go? Did I?
You're right. I don't know what I'm missing.
There we go. Ready to go. Let's try that again. All right. Nah, darn it. Why does it keep doing that? That is very bizarre. Why is it showing all the why is it showing that white there? Huh. Well, let me try a different tack here. Let's try a different, see if this will work. All right, let's see if this will work. All right, one more time here. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. No, and let's try. No, and there we go. Okay.
Don't touch me there. This is my no-no square. Stop. Don't touch me there. This is my no-no square. Stop. Don't touch me there. This is my no-no square. Stop. Don't touch me there. This is my no-no square.
Alrighty.
That one worked. Did you just dox yourself in the process?
Alrighty, let me bring up the our actual no-no square here. Yeah, that came from apparently that is from Finland, and yeah, let's not go from. Let's try to not do full straight. Yeah, apparently that's from Finland. They're having some migrant rape crisis, and apparently that's how one of the local governments is actually trying to deal with the rape crisis. They got that off of the Twitter stream of Red Gaze, Gaze, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that. Okay, here is our no-no square for today. This is from Marvel's X, and yeah, that's just wrong. That is just wrong.
I don't even know what the hell's going on.
You should make a meme and put Joe Biden's face.
Yeah.
That or Mike Bloomberg.
Yeah.
But Joe Biden,
name for
Sleepy Joe is the one that's always like macking on people from behind like that.
I don't know. Caption this. Is that the Peter Tingle?
Oh no!
I just like the grin on this.
Yeah. And like Spidey's kind of tense, and like the guy behind him's grinding a little bit.
Yeah. That's what made me think of Joe Biden.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, that's all for No Square. Let's move on to the next comic, Terralympus. Give me just a second here.
Hey brother, I gotta jump off. It's 2 a.m. here, and I gotta get to work tomorrow. So,
all righty. Thanks for joining us, Scott. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for the review. I appreciate your attention, guys. I hope you like it. And if you got any like more critical stuff you don't feel comfortable saying in public, just DM me. It's all good, brother.
All righty. Thank you.
Yeah. Later.
Okay. This is the cover of Terralympus, and interesting cover. A lot of good detail here, and I don't know, where would you the protagonist is right here, Mia. Would you have put her down here or maybe up here?
Well, I would have maybe put her up there or larger than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
But she is very well rendered in this and very light colored versus the rest who look a little, over rendered and darker colored. So she also looks a little out of place with the other ones in the art style.
What do you mean?
She does not look to me like she was illustrated by the same person that did all the rest of the characters, or at the very least not colored by the same person. Like if you look at the girl in the upper left and like how she's colored, everything's a little more smooth and blended, yet kind of muted. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. And the person center top, there's hardly any detail there. There's a lot of thick lines or shadows.
Yeah.
Unless I'm just not seeing it because it's
I see that now. I mean, Mia looks very the lines look very sharp, especially around the nose, and that's interesting. Yeah, I would have put her. I don't know. I think I would have put her at the top since she's the protagonist, and this here is her name is Storm. She is the head of engineering, but is also the villain. I would have put her down here. So, I mean, one thing it does kind of look like these four in the background, and she's Mia is moved forward a little bit. So. If you're trying to separate her away from the other 5 characters here, it does kind of do that.
No.
Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty. Let's move on. Oh wait, sorry.
Okay. No.
Yeah. All right. Here is the opening page. Got a lot of good detail here. And kind of what's going on here is there's something out in one of the filters, and it turns out to be just a common house cat. And what I do like about this here is that it is setting up the main character, Mia. She decides to go out into the filter, get the cat. The other character here, who is, is that Stefan? Yeah, that's Stefan. He just wants to blow it out into space and be done with it. Doesn't want to take the risk of going out into the filter. But she's like, no. Let's save the cat's life. Sets up a nice contrast and tells you something here about the. Here you see her rescuing the cat. It tells you something about her character right off the bat.
Right.
I know you had some thoughts on the detail, and I know you're going to get a little bit into that later. But I have to say, I do like the detail they've got right here. I mean, it's very, it really does look like they're in front of a computer console, and it's futuristic,
Yeah. Yeah, the first thing, as soon as I got to the first page, the first thing I noticed is the male character I suck with names, but the male character right there with the scratchy art style and everything, it reminded me a little bit of Lin-Manuel Francis Yu, if you're familiar with him.
Okay.
But, people that know me know that, like, my wheelhouse and my bread and butter is 80s indie comics.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I really like this artwork. I like that it's grayscale. And it's really well done in the art style and the grayscale and everything. So I really enjoy the art on this because it is different than the other stuff I'm seeing out there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I was impressed with the art right away.
Would you have colored this? I mean, I'm always much more. I always prefer color. That doesn't mean I don't like the comic. I mean, Trixie Kane Blood Reaper was one that was not, neither was Adam Post's College of the Dead. I like both those comics, but I always prefer color. I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't color this art. Your thoughts on that?
Well, again, with the 80s indie boom, not a lot of publishers could afford to color the comics, or at least print in color. So, this harkens back. So I do enjoy the black and white in this. Plus, and maybe this is just me being a little out there, but since they're out in the void and out in the vacuum of space, I think the fact that it is a lot of white with dark blacks, it does kind of almost give you a little bit of a feeling of the cold and isolation of space. So yeah, I mean, I would have gone the grayscale route on this rather than coloring it. I think coloring it may have made it a little too bright or warm or,
yeah,
I don't know, more homely or whatever, rather than where it's set. So yeah, I think they made the right choice with the grayscale.
Okay, fair enough. The plot here, the premise is that humans have left Earth. Earth has been not really clear entirely, but it's basically it seems like it's unlivable, and everybody's living on this giant space station called Terralympus, and there are expeditions that go out trying to search for some place that either is livable like Earth, or maybe they can terraform. But as they say here, terraforming is still a very new technology in this comic, so they're going to have to eventually, find something that a planet that will work for terraforming. Here you can see she's grabbing the cat. Okay, alrighty, let's move on. Now this is a scene where she is. It's like sort of a, I don't know, boxing match or UFC fight. This is how the engineers blow off steam. Now here, there's no background in the detail, or no detail in the background, but it does. But one thing it does show is that Mia is, she's a tough character.
Right. And that's, one of the things that I was really impressed with in the art is the amount of detail in the backgrounds. Some of those pages where they are in, the different rooms or maintenance of the ship, there is a good bit of background and it fits, it doesn't look generic. It's not, like just drawing lines and calling that background. And then like this, where the attention is focused on the characters, there's no background. Could have maybe put, some sort of background in here and blurred it out or something. But I think it works the way it is. But yeah, that's some of the panels do have like just really cool backgrounds in it that work.
Yeah. Alrighty. Here is the head engineer, Storm. She obviously is, very serious. She does not care for this. She comes upon this this fight, doesn't care for it. Chews out Stephen, second in command when it comes to engineering. Also gives a slight dressing down to Mia. I like how the Storm is is rendered here. I mean, just angry, the hand kind of spreading out and pointing, just very officious. That I really like.
Yeah, the artist does convey her as, a strict leader, and that comes across very quickly.
Alrighty, moving on. This is one where she's they have a new team member to the named Hannah to the engineering team, which is her right here, and Mia is kind of showing her the ropes a little bit. A lot of good. I know you like this, the detail here. So why don't you talk about this? Got to handle something with the kid real quick. So I'll be right back.
Yeah. So the very first panel, no background while they're talking, but then on the second panel, you get them looking out into space and talking about, how kind of inconsequential they are, how small they are in the grand scheme of things. Then you get that third panel where there is, a lot of stuff going on in the background as far as, pipes or conduit junctions and all that kind of stuff. So, it does give you a feel of what all it takes to make this ship run. And the other thing on this page is that there is an absolute ton of dialogue, and normally would be, too much dialogue for a page. But because of the way the artist laid it out with that, going from upper right to the lower left, you're able to fit it in there well. So it doesn't come across as offensive with too much dialogue jammed in there. It works well. And it does lay a couple important facts in there, because a lot of stories I see with where they've got to leave Earth to try and find, Earth 2 or whatever, a lot of those people are the people that left Earth. But here, you find out that they've been on this ship for a while. Neither of these two have ever lived on Earth, and they only know Earth from stories of others. So I thought that was kind of cool that, they've got this romanticized vision of Earth, and no one really seems to know exactly what happened that made it so they had to leave.
Yeah. Alrighty. Moving on. This was the next page. Just again, a lot of nice detail here. You kind of like you're almost like inside the walls a little bit, seeing some of the, like you would see if you're inside a building. And I've worked as security guards in building and gone up and down the main stairwells, and you just and also seen floors that have not been finished, and you just it's the guts, and it's very nice what he's done right here.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, again, it gives you a feeling. And the part where she's going up through the hatch gives you some nice little depth there, with the other girl still down on the main floor. Yeah, I do like the way the artist approached whatever script was given to him with the layouts and everything.
All right, now this is where you start getting into the meat of the plot. There's some kind of conspiracy going on involving an expedition that's going to be going out and looking for some planet that's that they can inhabit. But Storm is saying here, what you find out is what I've been suspecting all along. This will change everything on Terralympus. How well do you trust the crew you are bringing with you? Commander Storm, the discretion of my crew is not in question. They understand that whatever they find out there will need to be kept confidential. So there's no, bud. And so there's something going on, and you're not entirely certain what, but that has not been revealed, which is fine. It's a good way to keep the reader interested. here, and also we find out Stefan is in on it as well. A couple of page or two later, right here where it's he's has some second thoughts, but she says, "I hope you are not having second thoughts. What are we doing is wrong. What if we get caught? This is for the greater good. You know what we are trying to achieve." But they don't spell out what they're trying to achieve. So
right. They're building some suspense there, and leaving some questions hanging in the air, which I like. So now I got to ask: from this, you concluded that that's Stone he's talking to?
That Storm he's talking to?
Storm, I mean, yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. See, I wasn't sure. I didn't think it was shown clearly that was indeed Storm. I wasn't sure, and that I could be wrong with that. Perhaps it is. I wasn't sure. I was looking at the panels where it does show who he's speaking to, and I wasn't honestly sure who he was speaking to.
Yeah, well, I already got the bullet through the mouth wrong earlier. So maybe. Well, I assume because it seemed to me like a pretty logical jump. That is, she's clearly in on something with the leader of the expedition, and and now she's saying, and now he's in on some conspiracy. You assume it's the same conspiracy. Now, maybe that's wrong, but I assume that that she is talking to, do not make me question your loyalty, she says down here. You go back here, it's like, how well do you trust the crew you are bringing with you? I mean, she's saying this will change everything on Terralympus here. Here it's saying, this is for the greater good. You know what we are trying to achieve. So the dialogue sounds like Storm. So I think it is, but I may again be taking a bullet through the head here. So,
well, if I'm right twice in one day, it'll be a first.
Okay, here Mia is figuring out that something is wrong. That something there's something wrong with the system logs. I'm sure it's just a glitch. And she calls in. She calls in Stefan, and Stefan is clear that she's figuring out that something's wrong. That she's kind of stumbled upon the conspiracy, and he's about ready to pull out his gun right here. And then, she gives him a crack and takes off running. Any thoughts on either of these two pages here?
I think they're well done. Go back to the previous page if you would. So I think below that, I think there's another panel below that the artist did a good job of drawing. She can see his back in the reflection of something and see him reaching for that gun. Mm-hmm. And the artist did a good job of conveying that. That's not something that is always easy to draw. So yeah, I mean, I like the way this escalated, and the only thing that I questioned was, so she kicked his butt earlier, and now she dropped him with a punch. Not sure why she ran away rather than finishing the job. Obviously to set up the story, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing, and that's pretty much where the story ends. I mean, they're searching for her here. Here's one of the final panels. I think this is the final page. I love the detail here of the space station and the spaceship, and the expedition is getting ready to head out. And she's just hiding, and that's where it ends. And I just, I guess I wish there was a little more action or something. I mean, I'll say this. I am very eager to see issue 2. I don't know. It felt a little thin, like there needed to be a little more here. And, there just wasn't enough to, if this was a meal, I would still kind of feel hungry at the end. And not hungry because, there's another meal coming, just hungry because it's not, what's in front of me isn't enough.
Yeah, I think, so looking at the Indiegogo campaign, and it's touted this as, I forget, a how many page graphic novel,
Mm-hmm.
And, being older and having collected comics since, the early 80s, when you say a graphic novel to me, I think of a contained story.
Yeah.
So now, I didn't realize that this was going to be part of one of however many. I do feel that perhaps this could have been condensed a little, told in less pages, and given more build to whatever's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I did really enjoy this one. Like, this is actually a little more my wheelhouse than Doorkickers might be, because I'm not a military and magic kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
But this sci-fi is a little more my speed. So this would definitely be one I would check out.
Well, no, I guess I'm a little opposite. The Doorkickers is a little bit more in my wheelhouse than this. Although I like this a lot, and I am looking forward to issue 2. So
yeah. So
right.
the only thing that bothered me with this book was the lettering. And
okay, that's right.
as a guy who has lettered a bunch of comics over the last 15 years, there's just little things that maybe I noticed that other people wouldn't notice. There's certain rules to lettering, and a letterist is going to notice it. Somebody else might not. So I am picky when it comes to these things, and they do bother me. So the page you have right there,
Yeah.
if you go down right above the blonde girl's head, the thing she's saying before here, capital I's. When you letter a comic book, capital I's are specifically used as like the, I can't think of the word, like the pronoun I, I'm, I'd, I've, I'll. You only use capital I's for that. And if you go to the one right above it, where there's an I in the middle of the word, it's not capitalized.
Okay.
That's missed. Now in her balloon, the word terraforming, the I in that's capitalized. It's just little things like that that, to me, give the book a little bit less of a professional look. Not a huge thing. Not everybody's noticed it. I don't know if you even noticed it when you were reading the comic.
I did not. But no.
So, and that is all through this book. And it's hard a lot of times because what a lot of letterers do is they copy and paste. You get a Word document or whatever, you copy the word. So above her head, if you go up to 2 more where it says "it's hard to say," in a script, that I at the start of "it's" is going to be capitalized because it's the first letter in a sentence.
Yeah.
You got to go in and make that lowercase so it doesn't have the serifs. It's technical stuff that a letterer is going to notice, but you've got to be consistent throughout the book with that sort of thing.
Okay.
And the other thing, and you can see it right above her head.
All right.
When you're lettering and doing word balloons, I'm going to go down a technical rabbit hole very quickly here. You stroke the inside of the balloon. What that does is it brings the balloon tails to a very sharp point. If you stroke the outside, they round off and it gives a blunt point. Probably something else you didn't notice drives me out of my mind. So like the balloon tail right above her head is very thin and rounded off at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Just technical little stuff that I noticed that, unfortunately for me, can be a little jarring reading the book.
Okay, so this is supposed to be the tail is supposed to be more straight, not rounded off.
The actual point itself is supposed to be a sharp point, go into a point.
I see.
Instead of round, and it's just, I don't know. It just helps flow the direction to the person speaking.
Gotcha.
So
okay, alrighty.
Aside from that, thoroughly enjoyed this book.
Okay. Alrighty, well, I'm going to have to call it there. I need to get the little man to, it's his bedtime. So, Knuckle Supper, thank you very much for doing this with me today. We'll be back with Jeremy Lott next week, or our boy Great Lott, and tomorrow at 7 p.m. Let's see, what did Jason say here? Without word balloons, this page would be a terror to look at. Probably true. And yeah, tomorrow I will have Lenore King, the colorist for my comic book Tilt, and she will be working on the poster. And if her voice is up to it, some karaoke. So do come back. Alrighty, thank you very much, and we will see you soon.